Hello. Now let us make a config server. For that we need to visit start.spring.io and there we need to add config server dependency and Eureka server client. So let us visit start.spring.io website. So that is I already opened here. So add dependency config server. So we will get the config server. This is the config server, Spring Cloud config or config server. And next dependency is Eureka Discovery Client. So these two dependencies we need to add. Now here we are going to use as the demo. So instead of demo, I will give config server example. So I can give like this. Now everything is ready and I am going to generate the project. Only here we need to add two different dependencies. One is config server, another one is Eureka Discovery Client. Then generate the project. Once generated, you need to extract it and then you need to import to your workspace. So go here and find out this one config server example. I'm going to extract here, extract. So it is extracting, done. Then go to your workspace and here we are having Eureka Discovery Client and student details. Along with this, we are going to import config server. So that is existing Maven projects and go here, downloads and config server example. So finish it. So it will take few seconds of time to get set. So meanwhile we can go here the steps. So what are the steps? First I visited start.spring.io, then add config server dependency I have added, Eureka server dependency I have added, and generate the project I have done, and open config server application.java. There we need to add. Then we have to add at the rate enable config server, at the rate enable Eureka client. After that we need to open application.properties. There we have to mention server.port and spring.application name and cloud server and default zone we need to add. So default zone like this one URL. So that is for Eureka registration. So go back and see whether Eureka server is config server is ready, config server example. So as I said, we need to open the main class and go here and you need to add enable Eureka client as well as enable config server. So those two instructions we need to add, then only it would be recognized. If you are missing, it will not. So here at the rate enable config server. So here we need to add, then it will give some error. You need to add the import, required import. So error has gone. Now enable Eureka client. So enable Eureka client, import, enable Eureka client. Now this is done. No errors are there. Now open your resources and here you can add the properties. So properties are like what are the properties? We need to add server. So here server dot port. So we can say server dot port equal to triple double it double it. So that error will disappear. Server dot port. Next one is Spring application name. So we need to give this application name we have created. So Spring dot application dot name equal to config server. I am giving this one is config server. So server dot port equal to 88. So why this is giving error? We need to see. Server dot port equal to 88. So this S is a capital letter. That is the reason we are getting error. Server dot port is unknown. Why it is unknown? So it will give some server dot port equal to 88. Let me see. Server dot port equal to and this one Spring dot cloud config server git URI. We need to write of once a git is ready. So here meanwhile I will write Spring dot cloud dot config dot server dot git dot URI equal to, and we need to give the file name. We must know about this file name, otherwise it will not recognize. So I am going to put it in D drive only, so we will keep it. And Eureka server we need to get it. So Eureka server we already will be having here in this student. Eureka server will be there. So Eureka is this one. This one you need to get, and here server port is not giving error. We will take this one. So here application dot properties we can give this one, and double it, and this one is not required. So config server we have given. This is about the config server. It will run on double it. Only the thing is this config server is going to register at Eureka server. This one also we are registering using this command, but git connection also we need to make it. So how we are going to make a git connection? So that means every microservice will be having application.properties. This one is a bootstrap.properties. So when we are going to connect with a git and config server, our application.properties will become as a bootstrap properties. Otherwise it won't be recognized. So that is the reason this is a bootstrap.properties. Earlier it was a application.properties. So each microservice, I have taken only student details is the microservice. From there I am taking this bootstrap.properties. So I am going to take this bootstrap.properties and I will comment these things, and notepad I will keep it. And these are the properties I am keeping, and I am going to save. So for that I will create one folder into D drive. You can go to D drive, and I am going to create a local folder. So this is about local. From here only Git is going to read. That is the reason I am keeping. So that local file I have created. Then this file I am going to save. So instead of this, what I will do, I will copy paste the file. Full file alone I will copy paste because that properties will be varying. So this one I am going to copy, and this is a student microservice. So I will give the name also student microservice here, and here this is a student microservice. So this is the student microservice. This one we need to open from Git. So imagine that you already installed a Git. So I am going to open as the Git. So I will give this path over there, and I am going to open Git bash. So Git bash will be opened, and just now you have pasted student microservice properties. So for that you need to visit this folder D local. So you are in D local. Now you give git init, so it will initialize. Then you have to git initialized and master folder. Now we have to add git add dot. So it will add the file. So what is the file is added? Student microservice properties replaced by crlf. So that file is added. Now what we have to do? Git commit and some comments like a first commit. You can do first commit, then enter. So it will give the structure, and we have to verify git status whether we are in the correct folder structure or not. Yes, we are on master branch and it is a correct. So now we have placed this our microservice properties file. So here we can see this one is the properties file. So if you are opening this folder in your browser, it will show some details. It is like this. You can go and open this folder, and it will show student ms, and these are in use, so no need. So here, and since properties are added here, so we can remove the properties from the microservice, because from the properties our main purpose is not to refer from the microservice. So what I will do, I will comment it, and this one also I will comment it, and this one also I will comment it, and this one also we don't want, and this one also we don't want. Only the service name is student microservice. I kept this one, and we need to rename application.properties as a bootstrap properties. Now we have done this one is we have done. Now next what we have to do is we have to enable discovery server, because this service need to enable discovery server, right? So discovery config discovery we need to enable the true, so that no enable it would be able to access config server, because microservice is hitting the git server. In git server it is not directly hitting the git server, it will hit the config server. That is the reason we are going to use config discovery enabled. Next one is Spring Cloud config discovery service id. So that is a config server, because we have given this config server also, and that config server name and this config server name should both match. So here I have given the bootstrap and a config server. So these are the instructions only we need in this service. Rest of the instructions are not required. See, 8092 is commented. That means this server will run based on the Git external properties. In that, this same property we are using there. We are only using student microservice, and this service is going to inquire inquire config server, and config server will inquire with Git, and Git will provide response, and based on the Git response, and config server will provide the response to the microservice. So that is what we have discussed in earlier session, like this. So config server and the services are registered, and these services are registered at config, and config will go to Git, and Git will provide the response, and config server will provide the response. Now we are good to test. So this student details and config server and Eureka server client, we have to start, and we have to see whether it is properly configured or not. So that one, the testing part, we will see in next session. Till then, thank you.